Gender is a fact. This is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact.
I honestly think God is an idea. It's not a fact. Gender in that way is an idea, not a fact.
But it was a little controversial because people, he touched a subject that was sensitive to a community, but that's literally what his job is to do.
He didn't come out of the lines. He wasn't disrespectful. He was just basically saying, it's an agenda that you're putting on black men and black women that we wasn't raised, we wasn't born like that.
This one word, pride. They call themselves, a community, and they base themselves on pride. We have the parade that they do almost every year in June. But pride comes before the fall.
Freedom of speech, does that still stand? Is that true today in society?
Absolutely. I know right now in the society there's been a lot of censorship, in the media.
Racism is happening, they're not as sensitive. But when it's LGBTQ, it's like a whole war. But when black people get in talked about, just how recently, like when I'm going deep. Recently, hold on, let me hold I'm sorry, okay.
Are they harmful, or should we just say, hey, it's just a joke, laugh it off, don't take yourself too seriously?
I think regardless of your platform, you should be careful about who you offend because no joke is worth punishment.
Hey, shalom, Most High in Christ bless, IUIC, DC Cuts from the Streets. We here in downtown DC, Howard Homecoming University. We here with the future right now, man, and we gonna get their thoughts on the recent Dave Chappelle stand-up called The Closer. So, Caleb, I'm gonna start with you, bro. You seen it. What did you think of it?
Of which part, specifically? The whole thing. It was funny. I'm not gonna cap. The actual show itself is always funny because Dave Chappelle, he knows how to perform, you feel me? Okay. But it was a little controversial because people, he touched a subject that was sensitive to a community, but that's literally what his job is to do. Right. So, I don't know. I don't know why it's so controversial at the end of the day because I feel like as a stand-up comedian, that's low-key his job.
Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. We here at Howard University Homecoming. We're going to ask Brandon a few questions concerning the Dave Chappelle stand-up. So you said you seen it, correct?
Yes.
All right, so just off the top, just give us your opinion. What did you think about it overall?
First and foremost, I thought it was funny. And then it brought light to a lot of controversial things. But I think that's a lot of what comedy is, bringing light to a lot of things that's going on in our society. And I thought what was going on revolving him and the LGBT community, I can understand what was the controversy around it, but overall, I thought there was no hindrance on what he said, no problems with it. I had no problems with what he said at all.
Shalom, family, Most High Christ bless. I'm Officer Benjamin. I have here with me
Jack.
Okay, brother Jack. So we out here, 2021, Howard Homecoming University, and we out here to get the minds of the people. The topic of discussion today is with the Dave Chappelle stand-up called The Closer. He's under a lot of hot water right now. We want to get the minds of the people and see their opinion on it. Did you ever catch the show?
Yes.
Okay, what's your thoughts on it?
My thing is this, right? He didn't come out of the lines. He wasn't disrespectful. He was just basically saying, it's an agenda that you're putting on black men and black women that we wasn't raised, we wasn't born like that. And besides that, he's just basically making out of it, you know what I mean? Which is not, it's not disrespect, you know what I mean? You are what you are, whatever. God, God is, or whoever you believe in, is the higher above or higher achiever, whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, it's nothing serious. You get what I'm saying?
Shalom, Most High in Christ bless, IUIC DC, Cuts from the Streets. We over here at Howard Homecoming. I'm here with my man.
Sam O.
So, I already spoke to Sam O a little bit. He done already told me that he's seen the Dave Chappelle stand-up. So, Sam O, tell the people what you think about the stand-up.
I always enjoy my brother Dave Chappelle and what he has to say. I look at him as a grill, a storyteller, a truth teller. And I think what he is someone that's right on the barrier between truth and reality. So people often feel a nudge in their spirit because he's hitting them where they are. right at home. And some people don't like it. I enjoy his comedy. I find him extremely, supremely funny. And I think that he's telling us what we need to hear right now.
Shalom, family. Most High Christ bless. My name's Officer Benjamin. I have here with me
Joe Chambers.
Okay, Joe. Trending topic of discussion right now is Dave Chappelle. He did a stand-up on Netflix called The Closer. Have you seen it?
I have.
Okay, so we want to get the minds of the people as far as what he said. First off, what do you think about it?
I thought it was funny, and a lot of things he said was true. I thought.
Okay. So with that, he's under a lot of hot water, especially from the LGBT community. So with the backlash that he's receiving, how do you feel? Do you feel as far as freedom of speech, does that still stand? Is that true today in society?
Absolutely. I know right now in this society there's been a lot of censorship, in the media. And I just think that, he's a comedian and he has the freedom to say, because he's going to point out things that we probably won't even come to our heads. And, he brings that forth, and I thought it was good.
All right, y'all. Shalom, Most High Christ bless. IUIC, DC Cuts from the Streets. I'm here with my brother Nick. All right, we're going to get into Dave Chappelle's stand-up, The Closer. So, Nick, you said that you didn't watch it, which is fine because a lot of people aren't aware. But it is causing such an uproar because he did talk about mainly the LGBTQ and the trans community. Now, just in general, do you find that jokes towards the LGBT or trans community, are they harmful? Or should we just say, hey, it's just a joke, laugh it off, don't take yourself too seriously?
I think regardless of your platform, you should be careful about who you offend because no joke is worth punishment.
You obviously know of the backlash that Dave Chappelle got from his stand-up. Yes. What do you think, because you know that we supposedly live in a freedom of speech country. So what does that say about freedom of speech given all the backlash that he received?
I think it's a lot about understanding one context. You have to understand why he said what he said to begin with in order to understand or really comprehend the meaning behind what was said. And then as far as the abridgment of freedom of speech, if you were to hinder him, then you would have to hinder a lot of things. So I personally think that of course, there is a line to be drawn. Like, you wouldn't yell fire in a movie theater, obviously, but with what he said, I saw no abridgment that should have been there. So his freedom of speech, I believe, was protected.
He mentioned that gender is a fact, and he touched on the trans community, the LGBTQ community, which we know, like you said, is a touchy subject. So with that being said, did you see it, sis?
I saw a little bit of it.
You saw a little bit of it. So did you think that his jokes were in some way harmful or distasteful towards the trans community?
I mean, personally, me, no, but I feel like some other people might be sensitive to it, I guess, because it's like their situation. But I didn't find it personal. But some people, like, they're sensitive. Like, they can't take jokes. But I feel like truth is in the jokes at the end of the day. So it's like they're telling you, right? It's fun. It's just like if you're joking with your friend might get offended, but it's just you're having a good time. Like, it's not nothing to be mad about.
Okay, he come for black people too.
Right.
Like, he come for everybody. It's not like he just came for them personally.
Okay. The thing is too, because people always get sensitive over like different things, but when white people or racism is happening, they're not as sensitive. But when it's LGBTQ, it's like a whole war. But when black people get in talk about just how recently, like when YG, I'm going deep. Recently, hold on, let me hold the mic. I'm sorry. Okay, recently when YG like talking about the Chinese and all that stuff, and like his songs got banned and all that stuff. Okay, cool. Like that's a racism problem. All right, if y'all feel like that. But when white people in songs talking about black people, do songs get banned? When it's KKK racism, does it get banned? No, they don't care about that. It's only when it's other races. They go hard for other races. They go hard for LGBTQ community or whatever. But when it's black people, they're not gonna go hard. So at the end of the day, we gotta go hard for ourselves.
And you know what's funny? I just saw a movie on Hulu. It was literally an all-white cast, nothing to do with black people. They over here calling each other nigga. I'm like,
right.
This
Just at the end of the day,
canceled?
like, bro, y'all fine with it's being hella movies about slavery, niggas disrespecting black people in movies, saying the funny little comments. But if black people did the same thing, it'd be an uproar. It'd be a problem. Like it's only sensitive when it's an issue with you. So if it's a civil rights movement you should be civil for everybody's personal problems and everything. But they're just stuck on their problems. Like the LGBTQ community, we should all come together and help black people too. But no, we will fight for the black people in the LGBTQ and help them out. But will they help us? No.
He in his stand-up, he mentioned that gender is a fact. So now we understand that the trans community, they don't identify male or female. So with that being said, some people believe in God, some people don't. That's fine. That's for another interview. Right. But does that now mean if gender doesn't exist, what does that say about God? Because in the Bible, he said, I created them male and female. What are your thoughts on that?
I honestly think God is an idea. It's not a fact. Gender in that way is an idea, not a fact.
So obviously, if you've seen the stand-up, you know about all the different controversies that he's getting from it. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I got several, but it's very simple. The first thing is we all people. And if we don't view ourselves as the same people, we're going to have all these controversies because everyone's going to make their own statement on their own side. What he's trying to do is tell his perspective from his point of view. And he's telling us his truth. I agree with a lot he says, not everything. But I think when it comes to controversy with one race, which is his number one thing he tells you every time, especially with Trick Whitey, man, and then with, let's say, sexuality. I think already there's a lot of misconception and confusion about being on a certain spectrum of sexuality that he's highlighting. We have the LGBTQ community that has their focal points, you know, when it comes to using pronouns and things like that, that I think they like to be argumentative about. But what he's really trying to bring out is I look at you as a person, and I'm going to use where I am to meet you at where you are. And I think a compromise is always necessary.
Why, so no, y'all actually doing great. So y'all mentioned that you can talk about basically any other group or any other demographic besides the trans or LGBTQ community. So why do you think that is?
I just think that this day and age, there's like the cancel culture. I feel like everyone cancels everything because if you look back, comedians been doing this. Comedians been making sensitive jokes. That's what they do, and everyone laughs about it. In the audience, everyone's laughing. So I just feel like with the cancel culture, they just want to make everything like a bigger problem than it has to be. Because he's a comedian. He's supposed to crack jokes about everything that's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
You know, most stand-ups, they go on a bunch of different topics. They do a lot of slandering on a whole lot of different demographics. You stand-ups crack jokes on whites, they crack jokes on blacks, yada yada, so forth and so on. Why is it that it's only when comedians start to crack jokes on the LGBTQ community that now all of a sudden there's a problem?
I personally think that they're not used to it yet. I mean, if you go back in time, Dave Chappelle, he did a lot of parodies and comedies on black people. And even not just him, but D.L. Hughley, Bernie Mac. They did a lot of, or said a lot of things about certain communities, and there was no problem. It's really just about laughing at yourself. I think that's all comedy is, and I personally don't think that the community has gotten there yet. So once again, it's really all about context. You have to look into context of things.
And when we go into comedy, we could talk about blacks, whites, people of obesity. But when it comes down to transgender, it's a lot of backlash. How you feel about that? Why is that?
The backlash on the transgender is basically, I feel like it's a it's a difference. It's a big difference, but basically it's something that we never seen before as humans. You know what I mean? Because somebody's born a female, somebody's born as a male. That's it. All right. If you're gay, you're gay, whatever. But it's a whole different type of animal, you know. And the problem is with the transgender, I guess they're not telling men that, hey, I'm X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And the problem is coming in when they're coming in, they're beefing with women now. So women are fighting transgender. Forget about being gay. Gay that means nothing. You gay, it doesn't mean nothing. It's about transgender versus women now. So that's the problem that's going on with them in their community. That's the new battle that's going on with them too.
What, like I said, you have Netflix employees that are storming out. They want more trans representation, which is fair, you know, if they feel that way. So what does this say about the freedom of speech? What does this uproar over his stand-up special say about the freedom of speech? Is there really a such thing as a freedom of speech if you can't say what you really want to say without the backlash?
No, there's really not. I mean, it's all about the people at the top who want the public to hear what they want them to hear, and they're connected, of course, with the hierarchy of elites, and all that trickles down.
Okay. So, are you familiar with entertainers, black male entertainers, more specifically, that have dressed up as women and they weren't really considered trans, like your Jamie Foxx's, Mark Lawrence, Tyler Perry, Richard Pryor, you mentioned, Flip Wilson. So, does Dave Chappelle, does his jokes about the trans community, does it offend or does it put a blot on those male, black male entertainers that have dressed up as women and cross-dressed?
I think it does offend that community, but we do have to be aware of the fact that he is a comedian. So I think, yes, you should be held accountable for the fact that you are part of a community that is connected to the trans community in a way, and be sensitive to that. But again, he is a comedian, and take that at face value. Not to say he deserves any leniency, but yes.
You make a very good point. You mentioned about the LGBTQ community, which is actually where most of our questions are based upon. So we know most stand-ups, especially Dave Chappelle, they crack jokes on many different facets of people. He cracked jokes on white people. He cracked jokes on black people. He cracked jokes about fat people, small, whatever. So why is it, Samo, that when it comes to him cracking jokes on the LGBTQ community, all of a sudden there's this huge problem?
You know, it's one word: pride. They call themselves, a community, and they base themselves on pride. We have the parade that they do almost every year in June. But pride comes before the fall. If you basing your entire identity on a prideful notion, because being out loud and proud is good in theory, but not good in practice. And I think what Dave Chappelle is doing is humbling them. If you view yourself as somebody else, we've already had fights between, he's gay, using the F word, using faggot. But when you really look at everybody as the same, regardless of their sexuality, regardless of their gender, their orientation, then you let them have their own respect as well as you have your own. And I think he's just being honest. That's all it is. That's all it is.
When you think about with comedians, they joke about blacks, whites, people of obesity. Now, when it comes down to transgender, it's a lot of backlash off of that. Do you think it's okay to speak about transgender people in the community?
Well, I think it's your opinion. It was his opinion, and it's jokes, you know what I mean? And we shouldn't take things so seriously, you know what I'm saying, and feel so attacked, when people start talking about, things that might be a little controversial to people, but, it's all in good fun, and I didn't see the seriousness in it. And I thought he made a good point when he says about the LGBT community infringing on the black, on the black community.
What club was that at?
Admit that a lot of people don't even realize they...
I've called her, she hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
But the Zulu Nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that again, 31.
Okay, so I'm a pose this last question because I know y'all want to get to the football game. So, can you cancel? Because you mentioned cancel culture. Can you cancel a comedian like Dave Chappelle because he's been doing this for years? He's a legend. Can you really cancel him?
Technically, no. With a strong enough fan base, no one can get canceled. Family Guy comes back continuously. You feel me? So,
I don't think you can because at the end of the day, he was telling the truth in some aspects. The truth offends people at the end of the day. But if my truth offends you, am I not going to tell the truth for myself? No, I'm still going to tell the truth for me.
Okay.
So it's like, no, I don't think he can get canceled. Just like he said, Family Guy says a lot of jokes that they not right either, but nobody saying nothing about them. So I just feel like no, you can't cancel him. And this is what he does. So
If it's a white person saying this, would it even be in topic? Probably not.
Bro.
It would probably not even be in this topic in conversation. No one would care. It wouldn't be no uproar at Netflix. It would be nothing happening. It would be completely fine. But a black person stands up and says something about his community, then it's a problem.
Right. You want to add something, Caleb?
Nah, they got it.
During his stand-up, Dave Chappelle mentioned that gender is a fact. I don't know if did you hear that part?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the LGBTQ community, they don't go by gender. You pretty much can be whatever the hell you want to be. So, does that now mean that based upon how the LGBTQ community thinks on gender, does that make it wrong for God to specify gender?
Can you repeat that last part again?
So, we know that the LGBTQ, they have their own set of different genders that they go by. There's no set gender. With God, there's only two genders with God. There's male and there's female. So do you think does that make now God wrong for only specifying two genders based upon the LGBTQ's many genders?
Oh, well, I would never argue with God. So then again, it's never really my place to dictate what he says or doesn't say. I do believe in freedom of choice, and if they want to be who they want to be, that's up to them. But at the same time, it goes both ways. So if Dave Chappelle wants to say this and prove a fact to that, then he has that right. On the point of God, at least, once again, if he said there's two, then there's two. I can't go back on that. And I believe there was a quote that Dave Chappelle said. I may not say it verbatim about, you have the right to be who you want to be or believe what you want to believe, but to what extent should I have to agree or cave into that? It's all about choice. You make your choice, I make mine. At the end of the day, you follow your path, I follow mine. God has us on different paths. Wherever he's taking you, that's where you ought to go. We can only do our best to try and emulate what he wants from us, and see where it takes us in life, because God doesn't lead us astray. So if he says there's two genders, then there's two, and that's really all there is to that.
So last question. In his stand-up, he said that gender is a fact. Now, however, when it comes down to the transgender community, they feel like you could be a man or a woman. Now, do you feel like with God, the higher power, do you feel like he should have changed things knowing how the future is today, where he should have made, you could call yourself man or woman, or if you're a man, you're a man, and if you're a woman, you're a woman?
Somebody keep it 1,000 with you. God creates you how you're supposed to do it. If you're a woman, you're supposed to produce. As a man, we got responsibilities we're supposed to do. Besides that, this is all the devil work, and the man, the negative energy that's putting this on our people to harness our culture and our people that gave us freedom and gave us life as black men. You get what I'm saying? So this is the devil and the white man working together to bring the black man down, you know what I mean? Because that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about, you know what I mean? Like, if you can bring a black man down, you win at the end of the day, as you recruit them. So basically, that's what it is when it comes to that.
There was this one line that Dave Chappelle said in his stand-up. He quoted, "Gender is a fact." You familiar with that part?
Yes.
Okay, so now, he stated gender is a fact with the LGBTQ community. We know that they have many different genders. You can be, one day you can decide to be a male, the next day you can decide to be a female, a she, he, a them, a they. But with God, we know that there's only two genders. There's male and there's female. So now, knowing that, should God and his way, should that now conform to the LGBTQ community?
Ooh, you've put several points. I'm going to hit them real quick. Here, right on my bag, because I went to University of Maryland. Okay. We got to put a sign that says they, right? So this is a pronoun that a lot of different individuals use. But I'm going to break it down to this. Gender and sex are two different things. Sex is what you're born with. We got people who are intersex. several different things going on there biologically. But gender is a choice by man, not a choice for God. For God, he sees us all as his children, his sons and his daughters. If you want to give yourself another name for it, you can, but God's going to view you as he created you. And he doesn't make mistakes. That's the God I know. Now, if you want to make a choice to change that gender, that is your prerogative. If you want me to view you as that gender, that is my choice. And if you want to change what I view as a natural order of the way life operates, that's something I had to come to a resolution with, as does every other human being. Gender, if you go look at the definition, it does mean male and female. Now, in the LGBTQ community, they have all the other ones they've come up with. But that does not track in history. In our modern day society, we have a lot of tolerance and acceptance that allows this increase in volume of gender to still reign supreme. Now, there is one thing I can level with them, and that's being non-binary, where you separate yourself from the binary male and female, and that's where you start going into the gray area. But with God, it's simple. Are you his child? God so loved the world, he sent his only begotten son. Everyone is his child. I don't care what you've done to your body, what you've done to your temple, the way you view yourself, you still his child, if you choose to accept that. And if we as a community, especially as the body of Christ, decide to view you as a child, we can meet you where you are. But if we make a mistake, if we call you outside of what you view yourself, you're going to have to forgive us, because forgiveness is the name of the game. But it's all love. And love is something that every human being has as a gift from God, because they are, when they say, let us make man in our image, he said us. So we know that there are pronoun games even in the Bible. But regardless of pronouns, God said, I am that I am. And the I am that I am is love. So if you want to know about love, go and talk to God yourself.
All right, cool, Samo. So I got one last question for you. There's been a whole lot of talk about cancel culture. Are you familiar with cancel culture at all?
Of course.
Okay, so we're talking about Dave Chappelle now. With this whole cancel culture thing, somebody as huge, because we know Dave Chappelle is one of the most famous comedians in the world, probably. Right. So can you cancel Dave Chappelle?
Nope. Who got the power? No man. Cancel who you might. You can stand up against. You can speak about. But canceling it's just an illusion that we've created because of social media and our way of ranking social hierarchy. You do something that feels like it's offensive to a group, that group cancels you. But that group is not the whole world, and it's not all of America. If I say something that anything I said, I stand by it. And if you don't like it, you can't cancel me, because I got a family. And we got a family. And I also view you as that family. So can you really cancel family? No. Because family, especially body of Christ, that we all are a part of, whether you know it or not, is eternal. You can't cancel eternity, can you? No, you can't.
My man, we definitely appreciate you, Samo. I got one scripture that I want to bring out for you. Yeah, I already got it here. So we're going to read this. Should be at the bottom there. All right. So this is the Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 29. Yes, sir.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 29. Lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright.
So this is King Solomon speaking. He said this is one thing he's found out of all his wisdom, all his experience on the earth, that God made man upright. Meaning what? He made man to be with a woman, and he made a woman to be with a man. Come on.
But they have sought out many inventions.
But who is he talking about? He's talking about the people who look to misconstrue the things of God, the powers that be, the people that rule this world in dark places. Okay, he said, but they made things. Read that last part again.
It says, but they have sought out many inventions.
But they have sought out many inventions. It's okay to be what you want to be. If you want to wake up one day, you decide to be a male, the next day you decide to be a female, that's fine. If you want to be straight one day, then gay the next, that's cool. Come as you are. So
we've heard a lot about cancel culture. Cancel culture. First question is, this is a two-part question, but the first part of that question is, what exactly is cancel culture?
I just think it's an oversensitized, vulnerable community of youth, primarily, who just don't want to accept life as it really is, diverse, complicated, not as simple as they were originally taught in school.
Okay. So, second part of that question is, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Dave Chappelle's work over the past 20, 30 years. Can you actually cancel a figure like Dave Chappelle?
No, you can't. You need to understand that a man is as much an individual as he is, as we mentioned before, an idea, and they promote, especially based on their platform, ideas that live on, regardless of how long or short their career or life may be.
Okay. So I want to read this one scripture for you, Nick, and then we're going to get you out of here. And I just want to get your thoughts on it, all right? This is the book of Ecclesiastes 7:29.
Ecclesiastes 7:29. Lo, this only have I found, that God have made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions.
Okay, so read it one more time, and I want to stop him, and I want to break it down for you. Go ahead.
Lo, this only have I found, that God have made man upright.
So, Nick, this is the King Solomon speaking. 1 second. This is King Solomon speaking. So he looked in his old age. He said, I found this one thing, that God has made man to be upright. He's made man to follow a specific set of rules or guidelines on the earth. Read on.
But they have sought out many inventions.
And one of those many inventions, when you're walking the straight path, when you set out your own inventions, that's you lie, you begin to cheat, you begin to steal, vulnerability, or even you might say, hey, I'm a man, I like men, I'm a woman, and I like women. So it says here in the Bible, whether you believe it or not, that's another topic for another day. It says that I've made man to be upright, but when you decide to step out of that or step into that vulnerability, like you mentioned, or sin, you sort out your own invention. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a logical scripture, but I would say that it's not explicit to say people are not more human if they sin.
Right.
People are as human if they sin as if they don't sin.
Okay, so with that, we say shalom. I got Nick with me. Nick, I appreciate the interview, brother. All right. Shalom. Most High Christ bless. Howard Homecoming 2021.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road. Purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.